Less known than the famous temples of Abu Simbel, the Temple of Philae was also among the 20 temples relocated during the construction of the Aswan High Dam. This monumental move, orchestrated under the auspices of UNESCO, was not just a technical feat but also a necessity to save these cultural treasures from submersion. Originally located on Philae Island, which was submerged due to the rising waters of the Nile, the temple was meticulously dismantled and rebuilt on Agilkia Island. This exemplary project illustrates the international effort to preserve global heritage in the face of economic demands and major development projects. In Egypt, 96% of the population lives along a narrow strip of land that extends on either side of the Nile, spanning 1,200 kilometers. This historic river is a vital source of fertility but also an agent of destruction, which justified the construction of the Aswan Dam and later the High Aswan Dam to control its floods and generate hydroelectric power. However, these dams have also had significant ecological and social impacts, including altering the Nile's ecosystems and displacing populations, thus highlighting the Nile's complex role as both benefactor and destroyer in Egyptian history.
On one side of the Aswan High Dam lies the majestic Lake Nasser, a vast freshwater reservoir covering 5,250 square kilometers and stretching over 550 kilometers through the desert. On the other side, the calmed Nile flows northward, its once devastating floods now controlled by this imposing structure.
The temples of Philae and Abu Simbel, both rescued from the waters of Lake Nasser, capture the diversity of Egyptian history. Abu Simbel, built about 3,000 years ago during the New Kingdom, remains almost intact in its desert isolation. Philae, constructed 1,000 years later by the Ptolemaic pharaohs, reflects cultural and religious evolutions. Subject to both influences and deliberate Christian destructions to erase its pagan past, Philae illustrates the profound transformations of ancient Egypt. The Temple of Philae, erected by the Ptolemies after Alexander the Great's conquest of Egypt, stands out for its architecture that showcases a deep cultural syncretism. This Greek dynasty skillfully integrated Greek design elements with Egyptian architectural traditions. The columns in the entrance courtyard, adorned with Egyptian motifs and Hellenistic capitals, along with the remarkably fine bas-reliefs that decorate the walls, illustrate this fusion. These elements not only demonstrate the Ptolemies' artistic adaptation but also their desire to align with the lineage of Egyptian pharaohs, thereby asserting their legitimacy and respect for the local culture. After the era of the Greek pharaohs, the Romans took control of Egypt, eventually adopting Christianity as the state religion in the early 4th century. In this context, the Edict of Theodosius, issued in the late 4th century, led to the looting of pagan temples across the empire, including the Temple at Philae. This edict marked the beginning of a systematic destruction of ancient artworks, with the bas-reliefs at the Temple of Philae particularly suffering. However, this destruction was not always thorough, as evidenced by the many bas-reliefs that remain intact, revealing a sometimes sporadic application of the decrees of destruction. From this period also date the few crosses engraved at Philae, silent witnesses to the transition towards Christianity. This historical transformation underscores a significant turning point in the temple's history, testifying to the gradual disappearance of the old world in favor of new beliefs, while still preserving fragments of the past that continue to enchant and educate.